So originally, back in at the start, we had the two of us, Adalbert and myself. I'd just come from a year away traveling around Europe, and I'd done a couple of rallies before, and Adalbert's done a few rallies, and we've always talked about adventure and a few different ideas were thrown around. And Adalbert had seen this video on YouTube that was of a comedian, and his name is Buddy. And what Buddy did was the London to Mongolia rally just by hitchhiking and without any money. And the video clip is hilarious, and we were like, wow, oh my god, this is amazing. So that's really where we dived in. We were like, okay, how do we make this happen? So started off with Adalbert and myself, and then we got a couple of other guys on board. Unfortunately, they had other commitments, and they just weren't able to put the time in. So we were kind of sad about that, because they're really good guys and we would have loved them to be there. But then we were lucky enough to have Neil jump in the last, I think he had about 3 weeks. He just decided, boom, he's in just before the start, and he organized himself, and we picked him up in Moscow, and he's great and been fantastic. So the three of us were the core team, and we made it all happen. So the beginning, it started with an idea that just seemed surreal and almost unattainable. It was one of those lifelong dreams, bucket list type thing, with a really, really good outcome. We really wanted to do something that would not only inspire others, but would help a community. Whether we looked at different organizations and charities, and Act for Peace were one of our charities that we went with, and they helped women and children from war-torn communities in re-establishing their lives and that kind of stuff. And the Mongol Rally itself have their own Lotus Child, which help an orphanage a couple of orphanages in Mongolia itself. So that really moved us and touched our heart, because of where the money goes and how it was all structured in terms of not just giving people money or equipment, but really changing their lives by empowering them. And from the start, it was all about us trying to empower others to live their dreams. And when you hear about women and children from a war-torn country that are not just put into a new home, but they're given different forms of education and really set back up on their feet, that was really in line with what we're doing. So when we're looking at it, it wasn't just about the 19,000 Ks that we were clocking up. It was about all the structures and everything that we could put behind it to really uplift people's lives. So the ambulance itself comes in. Basically, when we were looking at Lotus Child and the orphanage, we were like, well, we don't want to just take a car across and donate that. We thought, we wanted something a lot more substantial, something that could really be used and put to good use, and hence an ambulance was perfect for that. I mean, we had the slight luxury of being able to sleep in the back and that kind of thing and carry a lot of equipment, but in saying that, it's also a long wheelbase, so it made the voyage a lot more challenging as well. So getting across what you'd think would be an easy mound, you'd often end up stuck or bogged. The ambulance itself, it really was something that could be put to good use and was heavily needed by the children in the orphanage, which we ended up finding out it had a different kind of aspect, in the sense that it was sold to a hospital that was quite close to the orphanage, as opposed to going directly to the orphanage. And then the proceeds were used and provided to the orphanage, and we found out that those proceeds were able to support one child for 4 years. So it was a very, very rewarding and uplifting result for us. Normally they say start at the beginning when you're telling a story, and I'd love to, but the beginning was rather stressful for us. It was a massive task, organizing everything and putting it together. We were totally against bowing to corporate organizations and massive conglomerates, so, contract or no, we just didn't want to bow down. Organizing and running around to them, we often had to basically de-stress with a little bit of a Lucky Tiger muscle rub. Soothes and relaxes the muscles. But that aside, we basically put together a lot of emails and phone calls, night in, night out, any hour basically that we could grab free during lunchtimes and that kind of thing. Running around to people like Hallie Hansen, one of our sponsors, of course, Pomade Shop, just everyone we could think of really that would kind of line up with what we were doing on the rally. Adele and I have a bit of mechanical skills. We've built boats together, we've worked on cars together. So mechanically we were kind of set and we were pretty confident. Also, having done rallies before, we were pretty confident with terrains and so forth. Across Australia you get a very wide mix of really rough roads when you travel out through the desert, with the usual potholes, but also at high speeds you've got very loose dirt, so you drift a lot. It's almost equivalent to snow, sliding through ice and that kind of thing. So my training in itself in that sense would have been driving from Hay up to Hamilton Island in a big semicircle, and over a week we were doing between 600 to 900 k's a day. And we went through everything on that trip, so that was very good preparation. And then after that, driving for would have been close to 10 months throughout Europe, through a variety of conditions, driving a camper van through the worst snowstorms and drifting across roads through that was quite a feat in itself. One of the things that came up was that we were invited by a special forces general for the Spetsnaz in Russia, to come across to Siberia and train with them. And so that became a very big element for us, more so for personal fitness and mental well-being, as well as survival and that kind of thing. So one thing I was doing over a 6-month period was every day I was rowing for about an hour a day, and that was mainly because I was living on a boat in Sydney, and so hence, rain, hail or shine, I was just out there rowing every day, which was one great element. And then Adele and I on top of that would do training, running about 5Ks, just an easy little jog, and then doing between 300 push-ups and 300 dips and a few other things, just to do back-to-back to keep our fitness levels up. And the numbers sound big, but it's not something to brag about. It was just, what was incorporated into our training to keep us in good health. Going back to the start, to the sponsors, organizing everything, getting equipment, we had to work out what we were going to need, and who would align with that. So one of the things that was very obvious and of great importance to us was getting over to London from Sydney. And we spoke to Virgin Atlantic, and they were fantastic. They were absolutely amazing. We had, between the two of us, 140 kilograms to take over with medical equipment and kids' toys and all that kind of stuff. And they got us on no problem. They had us lined up. They had us priority seating. They were just absolutely amazing, and they were very kind. Their donation, if you like, on top of that was giving us a discounted price on the tickets, and just making sure we were really well looked after, which, we can't thank them enough for. Virgin Atlantic were just incredible. So we left Sydney and said goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Hutter, who were kind enough to drop us off there. A few tears were shed, and it's still also surreal at the moment that even then we weren't really aware of what we were undertaking, and even now we're not really aware that we completed it. So we left Sydney and we got over to London, and everything just hit us at once. Transfers from banks weren't going. The car wasn't ready. We had organised the car about a month before, the ambulance, through UK ambulance sales, and they were great in helping us, but when we got there were just a whole bunch of things that just weren't quite lined up and the vehicle wasn't quite ready for us. So we got the vehicle at about 7 p.m. on the Friday night, which was the night before the rally started. And so Adalbert and I were running around, we're cleaning it up, we're putting stickers on the vehicle. It was a huge task, and we had about little financial reserve, so to speak, while waiting for this transfer to come through, and we were stressed to the max. But we got across. We got down to the Goodwood Circuit, saw the guys. We walked around Budgie Smugglers, who were another sponsor. The Budgie Smugglers are the small Speedo style swimsuit that you often see lifesavers wearing in Australia. And so we were walking around the Goodwood Circuit there, having a little bit of a laugh, but really we were stressed to the max. And we then left the Goodwood Circuit with everybody else, doing the lap around and so forth, and managed to work our way over to Calais and started the drive, basically with, I think we had a hunting knife and a ball of twine for our tools. We didn't have a spare tyre, we didn't have anything to change a tyre. We just had to take off because, as I say, we got the ambulance the night before, and so it was all just by the seat of our pants. So travelling naked was, when we were coming up with a name, we were going over a whole range of things, and the whole idea of what we're putting together was not just for this Mongol rally, but for inspiring people, as we said. And travelling naked came about as an idea that, letting go of, it's more of a metaphorical thing of letting go of society's baggage and being able to just go out there with whatever you have, make your dreams come true, as well as just using the tools that are around you and the resources around you to make things happen, rather than worrying about, packing everything to the extreme and preparing for every little event that you can possibly imagine. It's more about, well, just go with the basics and the bare minimum and just make everything work for you. So from the Goodwood Circuit, the way it was arranged was you have all the UK and some European teams start at the Goodwood Circuit, which is in West Sussex, and it's a small airfield that used to be used, and I think may still be used for racing. And so you start there and have a big send-off, and you sign and register the car, which we still couldn't do because we were still waiting for registration papers, but I'll get to that later. And then from there you have about 2 days to get across to the Czech Republic. The western border, there's a small town called Klatovy, and there's a castle there that they have a Czech party is what they call it, but basically it's the European send-off. So you have a lot of teams come down from Finland, you come up from Italy, just all around the area, even from Spain they came across, and basically then they start the rally from there. Everybody joins up, you have a big send-off, and then everybody makes their own way. There's no prepared route, everybody just works out which way they want to go, and you go. However, going back to Budgie Smugglers being our sponsor, we worked our way back 1,000 k's in the opposite direction to go to Liechtenstein, and ran from border to border in a pair of Budgie Smugglers.